Hey guys, what are you guys doing? Becca Scoops here. Thanks for joining me. This is a very impromptu video. I've gotten some emails overnight on a few situations we need to discuss. Of course, I've named this Big Red Flags. This is about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. It's about a couple of things that you guys found super interesting. And when I retook, when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about this stuff. This is very interesting. But before we get to that and get to your comments and get to the stuff that is just like fascinating to talk about, let's talk about Gypsy Rose Blanchard's TikTok video that she came out with yesterday talking about her taking Wellbutrin, which is an antidepressant. Here's that video.
My antidepressant girlies. So I have been on Wellbutrin for the last month, and so far it's been going really good. Haven't had any negative side effects or anything like that. But like when I first started taking it, I felt like a huge burst of energy. I would get up at like 6 a.m., clean the house.
I want to stop it right here. Many of you know that I spent several years working at USC Medical Center as a psychiatric registered nurse, and knew a lot of patients that were on a lot of different antidepressants. One thing when we put people on antidepressants, when doctors do, psychiatrists do, is you listen to how they talk about it. And the first big red flag with me, with her, was how this part, I'm going to back it up just a little bit.
Felt like a huge burst of energy. I would get up at like 6 a.m., clean the house, had a lot of energy throughout the day. And now that
This is concerning because she liked that she wanted the stimulant effect. In fact, she goes on and has to make a correction because she talks about this being a stimulant. And that the first thing that comes out of her mouth, the pros to her were not, it made me feel less depressed. It gave me energy. Now, granted, when you're in a depressed state, getting more energy can be a sign that the depression is lifting. But in this case, I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think there's something else deeper going on here that we're going to discuss. Here's the rest of the video.
I have been on it for, the month, it's in my system now, and now I've kind of seen a decline in that like energy. So, but overall, like, it's been a great mood stabilizer. It is a stimulant, which is different than other antidepressants.
In here, the second time she refers to it as a stimulant or giving stimulating properties, energetic properties. This is something, this is what she wants it for. So let's take note of that this is what she wants. Okay. It's not so much about being depressed. It's about giving her energy. It's about a stimulating type of a drug feel.
It works on your dopamine receptors. So overall, it has been a positive experience for me. So I just wanted to know, if y'all take Wellbutrin, let me know in the comments how it worked out for you guys. So, all right.
Now, when a psychiatrist usually discusses putting on, and she said previously she was on Zoloft, then she got pregnant. But usually, this isn't her first round with antidepressants. And usually when a psychiatrist asks you, most of you know, I mean, half the country's on antidepressants, I think. They talk to you about the pros and cons of each drug. And I wanted to share with you my thoughts about what I think's going on here with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. These are just my humble opinions. I'm not a psychiatrist, obviously, but I have been studying Gypsy for over a year. And so I wanted to bring this up right now. Now, what I think probably when I think of Wellbutrin, and this is just off the top of my head. So this isn't gospel. It's just like my impressions when I worked as a psych nurse. When I heard Wellbutrin, a lot of the time it was because people that were maybe addicted to certain things, this was the antidepressant. I think it's got some smoking cessation stuff that goes with it. So I think I was right about that part of it. But also, yeah, this is like they'll ask you, do you want a more calming antidepressant or do you want one that gives you more energy? And of course, Wellbutrin is one of the ones that gives you more energy. Now, as you see here in this, this can have, then let's talk about the sexual side effects. We know how important that is for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I don't think I'm talking out of school here when I talk about that with her. She's very open about her sex life. She's always has been overly like too much information, right? And so the Wellbutrin can have positive side effects, increase libido, improve erectile. I mean, that's not going to help her. Enhanced orgasm. It can also do the opposite. So I want to say that. But typically, if you're going to get the side effects, like other antidepressants, it's like it's really bad for the sexual dysfunction, right? It's like it really hits you there. This one, not so much. In fact, it might help you. But you guys leave comments. Tell me what you think about this. And then I'm going to go into what I think's going on with her right now, why I think she's decided to seek. Is she really depressed? Is this just about getting more energy so she can do things? I don't know. I don't know. But when I looked up narcissism and depression, people that are narcissistic or malignant narcissists, they can become depressed, but it's for all different reasons than for someone that's not a narcissist. And I did a little bit of research on that, and I thought this was really telling because I think this sounds exactly like her. Okay. Um, so really quick, you guys can pause to read this later if you want more information about this, but there's types of narcissism, and there's grandiose and there's vulnerable. And then there's the malignant one that I was talking about. But if we're going to put Gypsy in one of these categories, when it comes to depression, I'm going to put her in the vulnerable one, and it's not what you think. You know how Gypsy's always like making fun of herself, like, I'm so quirky. I'm so, oh, like, like when she was doing her whatever, she's like, I'm just a quirky girl. I'm just, I don't do anything right. That kind of self-deprecation. Yeah. So that's what these people, these type of narcissists do. Um, it says vulnerable narcissism features a more self-deprecating superiority, right? So they kind of use that to kind of fool you into thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a narcissist. A narcissist wouldn't say that, but that's part of it, the covert narcissism and stuff like that. Now, does narcissism cause depression? I was really interested. I'd never looked this up. It's something new to me. It says, and then there was some research. There were some actual real studies that went on with this. It says, we do know that clinical narcissism increases the likelihood of depression, though researchers don't know exactly why. There are a few speculations for the cause for co-occurring depression with the narcissism. Self-esteem challenges. Sound familiar with somebody we're talking about? Research has shown this occurring in people with vulnerable narcissism, just what I talked about. Perceived lack of attention and validation. I'm going to say that again. Perceived lack of attention and validation. Those with NPD may not have the proper coping skills to manage inattention and shame, as one study finds. So these were actual studies that were done. So I feel confident in passing along this information. Differences in perception. They may become confused and discouraged when others don't see them as positively as they see themselves. Who does that sound like? Or don't recognize or agree with their perceived victimization. What did she just have a blowout out about her mom, right? So much anger there about how people were saying justice for Dee Dee. How dare people say justice for Dee Dee when she's the real victim? I think these are all things that have gotten to Gypsy and caused some type of depression that she sees as depression. I think this is definitely, when I read all these things, I'm saying this sounds exactly like her, especially that last one. They see themselves or don't recognize or agree with their perceived victimization. They're confused and discouraged when others don't see them positively as they see themselves. I think this is what's going on here with her. I could be wrong. Tell me your guys' comments. Tell me what you guys think. And so then this is just another little part to it. Do people with covert narcissism have depressive episodes? There was a couple studies here that found that yes, they do, but then it goes into narcissistic injury and rage. And what this says is people with NPD can experience debilitating feelings of defeat and emptiness in a phenomenon known as narcissistic injury. And according to the DSM 5, narcissistic injury is defined as hypersensitivity to perceived or actual criticism. Perceived or actual criticism, wherein those with narcissism internalize humiliation, degradation, and emptiness. Instead, these individuals can respond with what? Defiance, disdain, rage. Rage. We saw that rage the other day about her mom, a shit mom, or revenge. We've seen Gypsy many times take revenge. She loves to get revenge with Ryan, with anybody. Look at the prison emails calling Ken names, right? She loves revenge. Okay. So I thought I would just touch on that briefly. So we're done with that. And now I want to get to the really interesting stuff that you guys kind of like pointed out to me, and I'm like, you know what? Let's follow up with a video with this. We're going to be talking about in my last video, and if you missed it, no worries. This whole thing with Gypsy as a child, falling down, like fake fainting. What was that? And then there's another, and she's around the same age. And so this is pre-wheelchair, pre any like medical intervention. This is just Gypsy being Gypsy as like a 5-year-old child. And then we see her in this cheerleading thing, which I'll bring up that. So in case you missed it, and it's good for us to take another
Her
look at
sister
it.
told me one.
This one here is, I just want to pause it here. So, and Gypsy's in the cutest little outfit, in this cheer outfit, right? And she's just these other girls, same age, all doing their routine, all taking part, and Gypsy's just laying on the ground. And then there's another, and she just looks up, like, is anyone looking at me? Is anyone paying attention to me? And I've got one other video that actually is got additional footage. So hold on, let me bring that up because that one's really telling. Hold on. All right, here's the one where the cheerleading on the ground. There's more footage to actually study here. 5 years old. There's the other girls kicking their legs. And I was like thinking, well, is this because she had issues physically? Like she couldn't physically do it? And then you guys are like, nope, we don't think so. And I was open. I said behavioral. I said both. I said, I don't know. What do you guys think? And so we're just like watching her, and she's just, look at her outfit compared to these other girls. I mean, Dee Dee really had her dolled up, right? She was really dolled up as a real cheerleader here. And she's just kind of sitting there, just kind of looking at the other kids. Let me back it up again. Yeah, it's really quite telling what is actually going on here. Just looking around, other girls, and she's got the, like I said, the cutest outfit. I know the GM stands for Golden Meadow. I think that's where they lived. This was probably football, little football cheerleaders. And so, yeah, and you guys were like, no, we think this is more behavioral, performative. And that was based on this other video here, this one. You guys slowed it down and there, and said this was a joke. And yeah, and you can see her uncle like walk by saying it's a joke, right? So let me play it. There's the smile. See the smile? There's a hint smile. You guys called it. You guys called it. There was this is performative. This is attention seeking. Definitely. Definitely. And they're joking. And they're joking about it. And it's interesting because I was thinking if I was a mom put in that position at the cheerleading thing, I don't think I would allow my kid. Now, I didn't have girls, I had sons, but regardless, same difference. If it was an activity, if my kid was just rolling around on the ground, I wouldn't allowed that. I would have said, "Yo, you don't want to do this? Well, we're leaving." Um, yeah, I wouldn't have allowed that. So I think you guys are right. I think this is like more than anything, we've always said over on Becca Scoops, our channel, that Dee Dee was more overindulgent than anything, not neglectful, overprotective, overindulgent, and typically only child, right? And so I'm thinking, what does this mean? How did this affect her growing up? Was this an early sign of something? Early sign of like the behavioral problems. And so then I remembered another quote that I've got to share with you guys that I skimmed over, and I was really like troubled by it, but now let's just lean into it. There was this other thing, sorry, got to remove that. There was this other thing when she's about 9 years old, and a doctor is writing about disability and to get Gypsy the disability, right? And this is an MD's note, and the last line reads, "I do not believe she is capable at the present time of functioning autonomously in school or society." And that means independently, obviously, but she's 9 years old. So the sentence that precedes that is, Gypsy is a very anxious child who is frightened by medical intervention and social interactions. Yeah. So were there always, now we know from the microdeletion that there can be behavioral issues, typically like not what I'm seeing here, but I think it says autism and schizophrenia. Now, I don't believe she's autistic, and I know that she's not schizophrenic. So, but could this be something else? Something else that is going along, or it's the old guys. It's the old nature versus nurture. Is it something that she genetically inherited this type of behavior? Is it nature or is it nurture, or is it because just of everything that happened with her mom and dad? And obviously she was reinforced, if I faint, this is funny, I get attention, I can roll around on the ground at an activity with other kids my age, and that's attention seeking. Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing what the other kids are doing, look at me. Now, this is a child. This is a child we're talking about, so I don't wanna get too crazy with this, do you know what I mean? But I think it's definitely interesting, and I have to agree, I believe both of these things were performative. That's not to say, because Gypsy did have a diagnosis of having the hypotonia and weak muscles. So there's that. But I gotta agree, guys, you guys are right, performative. Definitely performative, and I wanted to correct the record with that. All right, like I said, this is a very impromptu video. I got just a couple more things to show you, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. Hold on, guys. All right, guys, you know what? We've been going over the issue with her throat being cut issue. And of course, I had this clip. Let me just go ahead and play it.
All of that, but you used a metaphor where you talk about it was, your throat was going to be cut, or so it was more of like a life or death sort of situation.
Correct.
Can you sort of describe what that meant to you in a way that, people will hopefully want to go buy the book?
I think that obviously we wanted, and we meaning me and my co-authors wanted to convey a sense of urgency.
Okay.
Because a lot of people
can't put themselves in the mindset of where I was at with the abuse and how desperate I felt. So having a statement like she was going to cut my throat, that statement stands out a lot. And so it transports the readers into my mind and emotion. And so that's why it was so important to kind of say that and then go into the details of what I meant by that.
Right. It sort of paints the whole picture.
Exactly.
Okay, I understand. The book was very well written.
Well, that's quite a compliment. I don't think it was well written, but you guys just heard it there. She again is doubling down on this. She's on the record. She's on the record several places. And by the way, I want to make another correction, and it's a correction for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Gypsy Rose Blanchard has said that she's a best-selling New York Times best-selling author. I looked it up. She is not a best-selling New York Times author. If anything, I think that maybe her audiobook might have made some lists. And I've got that in my next video. I'll go ahead and bring the receipts on that. But she has gone around and said that she's a New York Times best-selling author. It depends. Like who's going to go check that, right? And how do you check it? And well, I did. So going back to this cutting the throat thing again, she's on the record. She's on the record. And this will become a big deal with the mainstream media when we get that far. I'm not saying if, I'm saying when we get this far, these little tidbits, these little video clips are going to be huge because she can't prove it. And in fact, we've got receipts that never happened. And I've got receipts of all the list of her doctors, and she's not including any doctors like that. So yeah, it'll be quite telling. All right. A few other things here that were very interesting. We had gone over in the past malpractice. You guys have been in the comments a lot about how the malpractice works. Is there a statute of limitations? I think, don't know this for a fact, what we're talking about, guys, is Gypsy Rose claiming that she wanted malpractice. In fact, she wanted to sue these doctors. Here is from one of my subs who has her own great YouTube channel. I think her name's Carolina Girl. I'll put the description in the box. She's got a great, very great video about a lot of the receipts like this. And so I got this from her. So kudos to her. Shout out to her. Check her out in the description box because the video is actually good. The video that she does, I was really impressed. If you haven't seen it, go over there and watch it. But anyways, this is Christy Blanchard and someone else. The top remark says, I hope that a good lawyer gets with Gypsy and they sue the crap out of every single doctor that prescribed medication or did unnecessary surgery on her. That's what baffles me the most about this whole thing. How can a doctor perform a surgery on someone that doesn't even need it? And Christy responded, whatever, that's one thing we did and still wonder about. Rod and I have tried to find a lawyer to go after them, and none of them wanted to take this case on. We will see if Gypsy can do something about it. Interesting, right? Right? Very interesting, because now, correct me if I'm wrong. Every state has their own thing. I know there's a statute. Of course, there's a statute of limitations. But I think the statute of limitations might start when you find out about the perceived injury. So you can't sue if you don't know about it, right? You can't sue anyone if you don't know about it. But once you become aware of it, whatever the issue is, then a time frame would start from there. I think. I could be wrong. Okay. So the other thing is we've got Gypsy also weighing in, someone asking her, I'm so sorry this system failed you. Is there legal action against these hospitals you can take? Gypsy writes, I'm looking into it. Unfortunately, it costs, and this is very interesting, okay? It costs a lot of money that I don't have. Well, any of you that have gone through any malpractice or any kind of injury type things, car accident, whatever, a lawyer is going to take that case on a contingency, meaning you don't need to have any money up front. If you've got a great case, they're like, sign you up. You know, that's a given. If you got a good case, a lawyer will take it for you for free. You just have to pay him on the back end. Like he'll take 30% of your settlement, something like that, right? And so you don't have to have the money up front. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about here. She goes on, people are misled to believe I have millions and I maybe have 15K to my name. I'm not sure how long ago this comment was. She's very prolific in comments. Even lately, she's in a lot of comments. All right. Now let me see. I think there is one more thing I want to get to. Should I drop a bomb here? Should I drop a bomb? I mean, this is not like a bomb. This is like going to be super controversial. All right, let's go ahead and do it. I think, well, wait, before I do that, let's go to the Halloween.
All right, I got peasant dress, which could be no.
It sounds
Gypsy's showing her Halloween
like there she
costume.
go. There she go.
All right, I got peasant dress, which could be
Oh, that's
utilized
cute.
for a couple different things.
That's cute.
Yeah. And I have like a Roman dress.
Nice.
And then I have the Cowboys cheerleader. So I'm gonna.
Guys, I know many of you said this. I know many of you have seen this. I don't understand this. What 34-year-old woman is buying like several Halloween costumes? What is the purpose of that? Spending like well over $200 to buy Halloween costumes for yourself. Her and her hair, the hair, the wigs, the whole thing, the costumes, it's something she still loves, right? You think that would be triggering, but it isn't. Now, let me show you one last thing here you guys are going to really be interested in. Hold. Okay, before I get to the hair and the wigs and the costume, because I have something that really goes along with that, that's going to like tie this all together with the depression, I wanted to show you guys something about the fainting. So when we were watching her, the fake fainting and the rolling around on the ground during the cheer practice. So I looked into it, you know, and I was kind of surprised by what came up. Children may fake fainting for attention, often due to feelings of anxiety, a need for control, or a desire to avoid a situation. While occasionally faking an illness is common, persistent or severe attention-seeking behavior, including fake fainting, could be a sign of underlying issues like, you guys aren't going to believe it, factitious disorder. That's what Munchausen is called now. Not Munchausen by proxy, but there's factitious disorder, and then there's just Munchausen disorder, meaning you're doing it to yourself. By proxy means to somebody else. So this is tying into factitious disorder, which is when someone pretends to be sick or receive care or attention. It is important to address the behavior with care, and if you suspect a more serious condition, a doctor or mental health professional. So look, I'm not tying a little 5-year-old girl over 2 videos or 3 videos into this is it. I'm just presenting different evidence and different scenarios. Obviously, you would need much more, evidence, a much bigger deep dive, but I just thought I would share that anyways. All right. Let's get on to her hair and the cosplaying and the depression and the wigs. Okay, I remembered and I found it in the prison emails when Gypsy gave herself a pixie cut. Here it is. I need to put my glasses on. Hold on. All right, let me make it bigger. No, I haven't gotten the book yet. It's probably here in property. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So a little update on me. Now I have a pixie haircut, not because I wanted it, but because when I'm stressed, I cut on my hair. I have been having a really difficult time dealing with the breakup. I think with Ken, possibly. Yeah, it's 2019. I do have friends getting me through it, but it doesn't ease the pain late at night. However, I'm starting to pick myself back up and work on my revenge body at the gym, and that seems to be keeping my mind sane. I'm ready for this year to be over. It's been nothing but stress. I feel next year will be a time that can focus on me and trying to build me up again. And this time, not be build around someone else. I'm kind of being forced out of my codependent nature, but I'm doggy paddling in the ocean. LOL. I'm okay though. And then it goes on. So interesting, right? Super interesting that Gypsy's cuts her hair into a pixie haircut over a major breakup. We know how she took that breakup. She did not take it well. And interesting that she just did it again. Now leaking that she's on Wellbutrin, on antidepressants, and making that manipulative video. Well, not only video, planting stories in people about how Ken needs to propose to her, right? I think she did 3 articles in a row all about babies and marriage. And then, then she does this last video. I don't care, when the time is right, he'll propose to me. I think all of this, the antidepressant medication, the pixie cut, the wigs, the Halloween costumes. She is in her pattern. These are her old patterns that she never grew out of, that she never became rehabilitated from. This is pure Gypsy Rose Blanchard at her finest. Costumes, wigs, pixie cut, depression, marriage, babies, manipulation, coercion. And so, yeah, we're right in the middle of it with her, and she's being very prolific on social media right now. She is obsessed and I think anxious, and she wants that ring. And she's being called No Ring Blanchard right now, and that's got to really irk her style, really get her upset. So yeah, I think there's a lot there. I don't think I'm going to go into the one bombshell. It's not a bombshell. It's not like I discovered something that is going to blow you guys away. It's not that. It's that I think I uncovered something that a lot of people have been putting out as fact that I don't think is fact. So I'm going to save that. Don't worry. It's not super oh, Becca, don't leave us with not, no, I think it needs a longer explanation, and it probably would be explained good on a live or a video, and then a live after it explaining it. And so I am preparing for a big live behind the scenes, just you guys know that. But I wanted to get out this quick video, and let's go over a few comments. Thank you guys so much for the people that comment and send me emails. And here we go with my glasses again. These are some really interesting comments. First one. I've been a nurse for 16 years, and I was a CNA for 7 before that, most which was spent in LTC. And I have a lot of experience with G-tubes and swallowing issues, thickened liquids. Gypsy is most definitely struggling with her swallowing. I can easily see it. I also have been saying from the beginning, I've never interacted with a doctor that just does things, especially a surgery or procedure, just because a patient or their caregiver says so. And then laughing emoji. There's so many holes in her story. You guys do a fantastic job, Becca. Thank you for another great video. Thank you so much, Holly Vincent. Really appreciate the comment. Next one, at Just Jamie. She needs to ask Rod why he wasn't more involved if Dee Dee's behavior was so concerning, and why he didn't rescue Gypsy if things were so bad. Thank you so much for that comment, Just Jamie. Really appreciate it. Next comment. This is very interesting. I struggled with both GERD and horrible dysphagia, that's difficulty swallowing, when I was younger, and had to get the same procedures that Gypsy did. First, multiple barium swallows. And that stuff comes in multiple nasty forms. And I had to do it all. And then a Nissan fundoplication. That's the laparoscopic procedure Gypsy had. The dysphagia would get scary. I still swallow kind of weird. I probably always will. I think I'm just so used to randomly choking that I'm cautious about how I eat and drink. My point is that doctors I saw didn't rush into surgery. They were all about the barium swallows and non-invasive options. So Gypsy's constant narrative about medical malpractice is pretty exhausting because I've been down that road when it comes to those issues. I absolutely believe that there would have been a fear of eating because when my dysphagia was at its worst, I would choke on a drink for at least 10 minutes at a time, leaving my eyes with hemorrhages. The GERD was even worse. Gypsy is either forgetting all that or is just manipulating everyone again. Thank you so much for your comment. Heliophobic. Next comment at Dr. Dog Barker 3830. As a child, Gypsy flinging herself to the floor or refusing to participate in an activity was 100% performative. Thank you, Dr. Dog Barker 3830. You were one of many who left these comments pointing out that you guys all think these were behavioral issues of Gypsy around when she was 5 years old with the cheer and the other fainting spell. Okay. Hi, Becca. I noticed in the clip where she was drinking that she was actually kind of sucking the drink out of the glass as if it was a straw. That's so true. What she's talking about is the one with the swallowing the Plan B pill. I don't know if this is a normal thing for her or if she was worried about swallowing the pill. I wonder if a speech therapist would have any insight. I worked with babies with a high palate, and they would often need special adaptive devices to breastfeed or use the bottle. I'm the dietitian who contacted you earlier. Yeah, thank you so much for this email and the previous emails. You've been spot on. You've been helping me, bring out these issues with the high palate and how the failure to thrive would come from this. And all of it makes so much sense, even to this day, with the way she swallows. Last but not least, comment by Christina Todd, 1970. Until I was 24, mama never weaned me. Girl, you were a grown ass adult at 24. It wasn't mama's job to wean you. Yes. Thank you, Christina Todd. I think we can all agree. I think we could all agree with that comment. All right, guys, I am getting ready for a live. And like I said, this other thing, why it's so important to go over so many things that go around the community. We want to make sure that all of us, no matter who we are, if I do something wrong, if I report something wrong, I want to know. I'm just in this for the truth, So anyways, I'm going to end this video now, but make sure you have your notifications on because I am preparing for a live where I'll be going over that certain bombshell situation, and I'll probably get in trouble for it. I don't know, but anyways, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you aren't subscribed to Becca Scoops and you like this content, please consider subbing to our channel. If you want to support us in a bigger way, consider becoming a member. As I've said in other videos, we're working very hard behind the scenes to get this story to the mainstream media, and we have made real legitimate progress that's in the works right now, and I'm very excited. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great evening, day, or morning, whatever time you watch this. Becca Scoops out.